All right, moving on to item number 9, Superintendents Report. Item A, participate dual language immersion program at Porter's Neck, Appendix H. Dr. Markley.
Yeah, these will be 2 quick updates. It is hard to believe that we are just about finishing up the bond projects, and so Porter's Neck will open up as its own school. And I've talked to the board members in the past about this. When we open up the school, I would actually like to add a second dual language program at Porter's Neck, but I'd like to do it as Mandarin Chinese and open it up to beyond just the school borders to students in the district. And I just need board consensus to start that process. This is not a contract or anything, but I'm just looking for some, I don't want to get too far into this if the board doesn't support it long term.
Is transportation going to be provided?
I would like to, yes.
So this decision should be made, though, in relationship with redistricting, won't it? It needs,
That'll have some impact on it, yes.
yes.
I would definitely support it. I actually have a child in Taiwan right now, so could I join in can I start in kindergarten?
Well, I got to tell you, one of the most popular teachers we have is our Mandarin Chinese teacher at Gregory, and those kids, and she's going to actually start teaching some high school Mandarin as well. It's exciting to offer a second one. In long term, I'd like to offer a third one, maybe in a different part of the district as well. So
Just so I understand, is it a school within a school? It would be a
it would,
cohort?
it would be a school within a school model, so we'd be running a regular track and then a dual immersion track.
Okay.
Would it be the 50-50
I have a strong
model?
second.
Mandarin Chinese is a little bit different, so I don't want to speak to that without being exactly what the model is there. So, but once we get to that point, we'll ask participate to come in and do that.
Okay.
But I wanted just some sense of direction in moving forward.
Can you talk a little bit about the benefits of having an immersion program and dealing with the class size requirements?
Yeah, there actually is a sneaky benefit to this.
Yes.
You know, the K-3 class size restrictions limit your class sizes in grades K through 3, with the exception of immersion programs. You can actually go over the cap in an immersion program.
Good.
It's not why you would do it, but it is a side benefit of doing it.
Nice.
2 birds are fine.
All right, I'm sensing that it's okay to move forward.
Yes, please.
All right. Budget. This will be the shortest budget update I have ever given. Budget remains on hold. It was vetoed on June 28th. In the governor's veto, he stated we should be investing in schools, teacher pay, and health care. So now the next step is for the General Assembly to possibly override. There's no majority, so that's unlikely. So until that state budget is approved, all salaries will remain at last year's level, frozen. Now, funds have been allotted to schools and departments based on spending resolution that you approved in June. Beginning budget also includes the implementation of capital outlay approved by the board in May. And since the county capital appropriation was approved, that's the same amount as last year. We hope to bring a budget resolution and revised pay schedules in August or September at the very latest. I would also say contractually, I'm obligated, my contract has a raise going in it. I'm asking that we hold that. I don't want to raise until all the other employees get that raise as well. That's the budget update. Questions? All right.
No questions. All right. Item 10, Board Chairperson's Report. I have nothing to say. So moving on to item 11, Committee Reports. Item A, Parent Committee, Appendix, is that I? Committee Chair Stephanie Adams.
Sure, so I'm very excited to be chairing the Parent Communication Committee. We have changed the name, though, to the Family Communications Committee, because as we know, not all of our kids are going home to parents every night, and family has a very broad definition. So I think it's important that we're being inclusive. This is a Families Communication Committee. The previous Parent Communications Committee, the purpose was to develop the guidelines of how schools would interface with their parents and to share information. We want to take it beyond that. We want to bring the community into this conversation. My son's in 2nd grade, and when he went into kindergarten, it was kind of difficult for me to find information as a parent, and I consider myself to be a pretty well-educated parent. And I know how to maneuver throughout schools. And so the idea is, let's bring in parents from across the county, all different ages of children, whether you're high school, elementary school, whether you're downtown, suburban, whatever. Let's talk about what are the strategies that we need to engage more parents within our schools, and how do we reach out to them and get them. We will be announcing, or we will be releasing an application for parents that are interested in being a part of this next Monday. It will go live on the website. Thank you very much to our Public Relations Department that's been working so closely to help roll this out. And you'll see that we have a list, a pretty robust committee. We're looking for PTA involvement. We'll have technology involved with this. Obviously, senior staff will be a part of this. The idea is we want to gather feedback of how to reach our families more effectively, and how do we get more parents and families into our schools and being a part of the community. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm very excited to be chair of this committee.
All right, any questions? No, all right. Thank you, Ms. Adams, for that report on the newly named Family Committee. Item number B, Redistricting Committee, we do have an announcement from the committee chair, David Wortman.
Ms. Emma Jackson has graciously agreed to serve on our committee.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much.
welcome aboard, Ms. Jackson. Thank you very much for your continued support and service to New Hanover County Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
All right, Equity Committee, we've already spoke about that, and we hope to have that in August. I do want to add a small update about the Title IX Committee. We will be meeting on the 15th at 3:30, and I do want to announce that we are attempting with our, thanks to our PR department, that we will be showing that on Facebook Live for those that are not able to show up at that time. Also, thanks to Janie Data from Coastal Horizons Rape Crisis Center, we will be hosting 3 representatives from the state, one individual from the North Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence, one from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, and one from the North Carolina Coalition Against Sexual Assault. They have coordinated their visit to Coastal Horizons specifically to be at our meeting this month, because they were very excited to hear about this committee and the partnerships that we have and the collaborations that we have going on. So we're very excited to host that coalition, that state coalition. And again, thanks to Ms. Data and to Kristen Jackson, who has helped with kind of coordinating all of that. And also to Crystal Bowie, who has done a lot to help facilitate, and of course to Ms. Quattlebaum. So that is the update for Title IX. We welcome the public to attend that meeting. And again, if you can't, it'll be on Facebook Live, and we will update our Title IX webpage. So any other committee updates? No? Okay. Item number 12, consensus items. Item A, personnel, Appendix J. I'm not sure who's doing that. Ms. Myers?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Would request board approval of the personnel as presented in Appendix J.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Moving on to item number B, change of school assignments, Appendix K. Dr. Markley?
Change of school assignments are requested from parents who wish to have their children attend school in Brunswick County. I would ask for approval.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Item number 13, old business. Item A, New Hanover County Schools fee schedule, Appendix L. Dr. Markley.
The board, over the last couple of months, has been talking about how we make schools more accessible and affordable for those who, especially for groups that serve our children. and the custodial fee has been a large part of that. So I put together a recommendation, and it basically is that all nonprofit organizations that directly serve students would see a 25% reduction in fee. Nonprofits that don't directly serve students would see no change in their fee. For-profit groups would see a 25% increase. So that would reduce the rate for those groups that directly serve children. The second part of that would be that in lieu of a custodian, if there's a school person who is with the group or willing to stay for the group and lock and unlock the building and be there for liability purposes, that we would collect a cleaning deposit, and if the building is fine, we would return the cleaning deposit to them. So that's the general gist of the recommendations. And I'm happy to take questions at this time. I'd like to thank Ms. Quattlebaum's division who handles this for putting a lot of this information together. Ms. Clegg, thank you. Questions?
When you say students that are directly impacted, can it be one out of a group of 20, or does it have to be the entire group?
It has to be a student group.
Okay.
You can't tell me, let's say it's a church
They
group.
take her back.
Just because you bring your child to church, it's not directly impacted by that. And that's, we leave that to the discretion of the facility folks as they're booking that.
Okay.
So if you have like a basketball team that wants to rent the gym, a student group, kids.
Yep.
How much would that cost per hour?
Ms. Clegg, you're the one who actually has to, can you help me with this one?
Depends on the gym.
Yeah,
Yeah,
depends on
there
the
you go,
gym.
what's your gym?
So where?
The old Hoggard gym.
Yeah, so this would be the nonprofit youth recreational serving fee for those. Am I correct, Ms. Clegg?
$37.50.
For a nonprofit youth recreation that's directly supporting our students, that rate, sorry, let me pull this.
So at Brogdon, it would be 75, and then 56 for the others. The rate that-
Yes, Brogdon 75, 50 for the smaller gyms, if you're looking for the, just the multi-purpose rooms. At the school, 16. Oh, I'm sorry, actually, no, 12.
Have we had any communication with like any of the organizations to see if we could do like a bulk rate, like if they say every Saturday from 4 to 5, if they do that over the course of time, that we would give them an additional discount if they guarantee that they would be there every single Saturday?
No, it's not, we haven't discussed this with a particular group.
Okay. All right. Any discussion from anyone else?
Something related, but a bit off topic. On Sundays, when some of our ball fields are used, the county closes fields for rain from the previous day. And they'll go out there and play on these fields. And it's a particular problem over at Myrtle Grove Middle, and they will chew them up.
Yeah, there's a lot of unscheduled practices that go on at some of our fields.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, there is. I live near Hoggard, you're right.
You can pick any elementary school that's got a large field, Alderman.
They're always out there.
They have a lot of kids, a lot of,
If there's anything we can do about it,
Very popular.
I don't know
It's-
if it's a
That's
liability
good
issue
to
as
kind of
well.
let, I mean, I understand the weather, but it's still good to let the kids, because I know that Alderman, they do soccer practices out right up front.
yeah.
And that's not
In
hurting
general, I
anything.
mean, we're not gonna hire somebody to go around kicking kids off a field if they're on our fields. That's,
Well, it depends, like, I guess, yeah, but that can really mess a field up if you got a really wet field and some lots of cleats flying around.
Baseball is the big issue.
baseball and soccer with the
Soccer's
cleats. can be-
bad, yeah. I mean, it's good.
Kind of
Cleats are
contrary to
bad.
what we're trying to do.
Cleats
Aren't we
are
trying to,
Yeah.
aren't we trying to allow kids to use our facilities, and now we're saying we don't want them to?
Ooh, don't want to ruin the facilities.
Well, if it gets to the point where we have to ask them to
Yeah.
not use it for a period of time till we can get it back in place. But other than that, I think we encourage them to get out and play and
Eddie, in terms of our fields, the folks who just show up and practice without scheduling, how much of an impact is that really having on our fields?
I don't know that we've ever really looked at that. I think it
hasn't risen
varies
to the-
from school to school. Obviously, the more use, the more wear and tear on the field. I think what Mr. Boyer is talking about, I would agree with, and that is, if a field, we've had a big rain, and the county closes fields for a reason, and as playing on those fields after that rain, would have an excessive amount of wear and tear and potential damage to the fields, and it would on our fields as well. Well, there's no formal process that we have in place for closing fields. I think it's they're open. We try to. I think a lot of the principals try to monitor that themselves, but we don't have a formal process for that.
And it hasn't risen to the level where somebody has said this field's being torn up every weekend, so.
And I would just say I think what I'm hearing everyone say is we want the public, we want kids to be able to use our fields as much as possible, but we don't want to use them to the point where there are no fields. And so there has to be some level of management. And right now, even though there's not a formal process, I think that that's happening and it's adequate.
Was there some way of putting like a big signs, like field closed due to rain today, don't destroy your field? Just something that just sensible, some sensible way of communicating with the public.
We don't go out and close them just because of rain, but if other things, if we've been out and done some maintenance work in reseeded or resodded areas, we do have signs, and we'll go out and close fields for a period of time.
Because that can do some really bad, Nelson's right, that can really mess up a field. For sure.
Well, the county or Parks and Recs takes care of Hoggard and
The game fields are under a separate contract. What we're seeing is like Alderman's probably the best example. They have a huge open field. And if you drive by on the weekend, there's probably a 5-year-old soccer group out there, either formally or informally,
It's
just
not
kicking.
on the field, it's in the lawn. They literally put those little goals up right in the lawn.
Yeah,
run
and
around.
that's the kind of thing. So the main fields are pretty much locked, and you are locked like the Hoggard Stadium or those places. And then Legion, and then Veterans Park is all county maintained. So. And this can be a starting point. We can go back and look at this and make adjustments down the road. But I thought it was a middle road kind of compromise to increase that access, especially that custodial fee. And so if we're asking folks to pick up after yourselves, it's a way to
Yeah. I do appreciate the effort. I just want to make sure that we're trying to be as accessible as possible, especially to the kids. I mean, we want them in our gyms, we want them in our spaces, because it's better that they're there than they're out doing other things. So, to me, that's the goal.
So if we adopt this, it would go into effect for next school year, and then we can look at it again at the end of the school year and see what it's done in terms of budget and facility use.
Okay, all right. So do we need a motion?
Move for
All right.
approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Thank you very much for all the work.
Like I said, the folks over in the, somehow this is in public relations, but it works, and Ms. Clegg does a great job managing all this.
Thank you, Ms. Clegg. I appreciate that. Moving on to new business. Item A, renew contract with Child Development Center for Special Education-Related Service, Appendix M. Ms. Askew.
Yes, thank you. I just ask that you approve the renewal contract with Child Development Center for the service of 66 preschoolers with significant cognitive and functional disabilities at the Child Development Center.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I do want to mention that Ms. Ratliff over there does a great job. And I think the school system does a great job partnering with them, so I appreciate your efforts.
Absolutely.
On that behalf.
And if you looked at the contract, you can see that we are picking up the physical therapy services.
Yep, I appreciate that. So I know that was that was a good discussion there with Ms. Ratliff. So the students do have significant needs, and that, if you want to speak to a little bit about the developmental day services and the that fund, and the fact that it has not increased in, what, 20 years? Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's probably more like 24 years at this point. We receive the funding as a flow-through for these students that meet developmental day center criteria, which are preschoolers who have more than 30% delays in 4 domains, one being cognitive, functional, language, social, emotional. And for those students, because we are evaluating those little ones beginning at 2 years, 6 months, 2 years, 9 months. And then we provide, we go through the eligibility criteria, and if they meet the developmental day center criteria, we can utilize one of 2 developmental day sites. But Child Development Center serves 66 of those. They would love to serve more, but that's the amount of slots we receive from DPI. And so those students go into the classroom settings there that are up to a 1-to-6 ratio, so much less than most preschool programs. We even have part of our program there that's a 1-to-4 ratio for those students who have the most significant social and communication disabilities. So the services there are all inclusive. They are the special education services and their related services, such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and any other needs such as hearing impaired interpreters or nursing. And so we support the overlay of those related services.
All right. Again, thank you for that, and for partnering for those kids that have, again, some of the most significant needs. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved.
Thank you.
Question about that, if possible. That's the school that my daughter's assigned to for the fall, and I was informed there's actually not a school nurse for the CDC.
They're their own separate entity.
Yes.
They're not our school, so that would be their decision in terms of what they provide for that kind of nurse coverage.
Do you want to add anything? Go ahead.
Certainly, as we spoke about a little earlier, for students at our developmental day centers, should they require immediate school nursing services, we provide that on top, but the school nurse supervision is provided through our supports with the health department contract.
Thank you. All right, item number B, 2018-2019 School Improvement Plan Attestations, Appendix O, Dr. LaShawn Smith.
Yes, would ask the board's approval of the attestations for school improvement plans. These attest to the school composition of the school improvement teams, that they are meeting the requirements of the law, as well as the meeting the requirements in regards to the number of meetings. You will notice with many of the plans, they did meet a little bit less this year, which was the direct result of the hurricane.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They are approved. Item C, 2019-2020 board-sponsored field trips, Appendix P, Dr. Smith.
Yes, would ask the board's approval for the 2019-2020 board-sponsored field trips. As you know, you sponsor not only the cost associated with these trips, but also the transportation.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there, these are the same as in prior years, correct?
Yes, we've made no changes.
Okay, all right.
So for the benefit of parents or whatever, maybe next time we put the location as well as, say, Sea Scholars, where that is, and the Forces in Motion, where do they go for that?
They go to the Cape Fear Museum for that.
Okay, so maybe that would help next year when you present to give the location of where these programs are.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Item D, interlocal agreement, agreement for grounds maintenance, Appendix Q, Eddie Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The New Hanover County and the Board of Education entered into an interlocal agreement in 2012-13 fiscal year for the lawn and ground maintenance of our schools. This does exclude athletic fields, as we discussed just a little while ago. The current agreement expired on June 30th of 2019, and it's the desire of both boards to establish a new agreement for a period of 4 years. So we ask for the board's approval of the interlocal agreement for grounds maintenance services.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Are there any changes to this, Mr. Anderson?
There were some very minor changes. I think, I'm not real clear on what those changes were. I know the one thing that, probably the biggest change is that we did have priority use of our fields Monday through Friday. That was extended to 6:15. Other than that, there was some minor changes in the maintenance that's specified.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Item E, Transportation GPS and Parent Portal Purchase Agreement, Appendix R, Eddie Anderson.
Thank you. We're very excited tonight to present this. Edulog is a company that we currently utilize for our integrated school bus GPS tracking. We'd like to, we did a pilot program last year at Parsley Elementary School, where the parent portal allows parents by a telephone app to track their student's bus. It also allows us to send them alerts if there are traffic delays or bus substitutions or anything else that would cause their bus to be delayed. And it allows the parent to create some custom zone notifications. In other words, if you wanted a notification on your phone whenever the bus was within a mile or maybe a little longer, you like run. But so it's very customizable. It's a software program that we've used before very successfully. We have a very good relationship with Edulog. So this coming year, we'd like to expand that out to all schools. The feedback that we got at Parsley from the staff as well as parents was very good. And like I said, we're excited to expand this opportunity out to all schools and all parents. And ask for your approval of the agreement attached to do that.
My son lives in Wake County, and Wake County's got it. It's wonderful. I mean, it really, truly is. A lot of happy parents. They know where their buses are.
Well, unhappy parents, it's not
Yeah,
there.
really. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And we have this already in our, built in our budget?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Everyone will be, all the parents will be on their phones at 2:30.
It's great.
So Eddie, would this roll out with year-rounds next week?
It won't roll out with year-rounds, I don't believe, Ken.
Okay.
All right. Got my pen ready. Thank you, Mr. Nance.
Use of technology.
Item F, Williston Middle School Drainage Easement, Appendix S. Mr. Anderson?
Thank you, Ms. Eastep. As many of you know, we've always had there's been a long history of flooding at Williston and Gregory, especially in that courtyard area. We have been working with the city of Wilmington, and this for quite some time. I think it fell off a little bit, and I'd like to personally thank Mr. E.B. Davis for bringing us back up. He's very persistent, and we love him for that. But Mr. Davis did bring this issue back up. We were able to come up with a solution that we think will solve the drainage issues. The city is going to, they've already contracted to implement this work, and they're asking us to provide them an easement across a portion of the Williston site. And so tonight we ask that you approve the drainage easement as presented.
Move for acceptance.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, now, it says here that the easement map is attached.
It's at the back.
It is, the
Anita, can you pull
easement
the map
map
up?
is,
Yeah.
it's the very last page.
I just want,
There you go.
I think I've seen it.
The easement, the current underground drainage system runs between the historic building and the two-story classroom building. We're gonna leave that because it does serve some yard inlets as well as some roof drains. But the city drainage along the street will be rerouted. It'll go north along 10th Street and then turn down Ann Street, connecting back in to the existing drainage where the pipe sizes are adequate.
Thank you.
So the actual easement itself is within the school board property running parallel to Ann Street.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Item G, polling places, usage agreement, Appendix T, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. This is the renewal of our polling places usage agreement with the New Hanover County Board of Elections. This agreement actually adds back College Park Elementary School, which was removed during the construction. And this agreement goes through the end of 2020. At that time, it could be extended with consent of both parties. There have been no other changes to this agreement other than adding back College Park, and we ask for your approval.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have there been any issues with any of these any of these schools or buildings used as polling places?
No,
Well-
because we typically will, except for the smaller municipal elections, it's a work day for us. So we generally haven't had any problems.
Okay. No other issues like with,
One time we had an issue with where signs were put, but that was an election issue, not really ours.
Oh, can I do seem to remember during the elections, there were issues with bathrooms. Does that make sense? People voting and asking to enter the bathrooms?
Most of these happen in the gym area, and there's usually a restroom there.
Yeah, I'm just remembering people were saying they weren't having access to restrooms and they were a little upset.
Typically not allowed access to the main part of the building, just to wherever the voting section is,
Okay.
so.
all right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for all those items.
Thank you.
Item number H, Alternative School Accountability Model, Appendix U, Dr. Smith.
Yes, at its August 2018 meeting, the State Board of Education approved updates to the Alternative Schools Accountability Model. The policy now requires that alternative schools accountability models be approved annually by local boards of education. The policy also gives us three options. The first option, option A, would be that our alternative schools would participate in the same model as our traditional schools. Option B would be that alternative schools may participate in an alternative school progress model. And then option C is that alternative schools may propose their own accountability model. We are bringing to the board a recommendation for option B, specifically for Lake Forest Academy, Mosley, and J.C. Rowe Center. which would utilize 3 years of performance data to calculate the school's performance grade for each school. As a part of that calculation or that progress model, there are 3 metrics that are considered, which are school achievement, school growth, and student persistence. And we would ask the board's approval for the recommendation of option B for these 3 schools.
All right, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Item I, Earthworks sole source contract, Appendix V. Dawn Brinson.
Yes, request that the board approve the Earthworks sole source resolution to purchase 29 carts, 15 of which are laptop and 14 are iPad carts.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? The carts would go where?
A variety of schools. We've got some carts that are 7 to 10 years old that we have replaced parts and pieces, and so those are the ones that we replace.
Okay, so there's just replacement, okay, all right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Thank you. Item J, Wilmington Police Department Dedicated Police Services Contract, Appendix W, Dr. Markley.
This is a continuation of the current contract. There are no changes from last year. We were asked by the police department not to fill in the date because it has to be routed through their system as well. And then once it's through their system, we will date it and sign it and do all the appropriate things.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second? Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Item K, New Hanover County Health Department Nursing Services Contract, Appendix X, Dr. Markley.
Again, this is a continuation of contract. The only change is that we went from 32 to 34 nurses because the county added 2 additional nurses last year, which now covers our alternative schools. No increase in the contract amount.
We certainly appreciate that and appreciate that coverage.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Item L, New Hanover County Health Department Mental Health Services Contract, Appendix Y, Dr. Markley.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little longer on this one because this partnership is really critical to what happens in our schools. It is a continuation contract. There were no changes from last year. But be aware the mental health therapist served 7 middle schools, 14 elementary schools, and served 674 clients last year, which are students. That's a huge number of students. Our contract covers 49% of the program. The remaining balance is covered through Medicaid insurance billing and county funding. Elementary schools that were served: Alderman, Blair, Bradley Creek, Castle Hayne, College Park, Freeman, Gregory, Murrayville, Ogden, Pine Valley, Snipes, Sunset Park, Winter Park, Wrightsboro. And then middle schools at Holly Shelter, Murray, Myrtle Grove, Noble, Roland Grice, Trask, and Williston. This is an example of a phenomenal partnership with our county folks in providing a service that a lot of districts don't have the resources to do. So I would ask for approval.
So moved. Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? How are the schools chosen?
Primarily Title I, as I believe. Am I correct, Julie?
So many times they are adjusted by how many parents are willing to accept the proposals and how many are really utilizing the services, but definitely Title I status plays into that.
Yep. By need. Yep.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Is there any correspondence that any board member would like to share at this time?
I would like the board to know, we will have teachers back in the buildings on Thursday with the start of year-round. And students will be in on Wednesday.
This Thursday? Wow.
That was quick.
Next week.
Teachers will be back.
Oh, this week, yeah.
But for the
Any
public,
other-
there'll be some buses out there.
All right.
Nobody wants to beat my breastfeeding from last week, or last one?
I think Dr. Wilmers has sent you the update on
He
that.
certainly did.
Any other correspondence? All right, moving on to announcements. A, the redistricting committee of the New Hanover County Board of Education will meet on Wednesday, July 10th at 3:30 p.m. in the Board of Ed Center. That is tomorrow. The Title IX committee of the Board of Ed will meet Monday, July 15th at 3:30 right here in the Board of Ed Center. And then our next New Hanover County Board of Ed regular meeting will be on Tuesday, August 6th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. right here in the Board of Ed Center, 1805 South 13th Street, in case anyone forgot the address. Anything else I'm missing? Any other committee meetings that I'm not announcing? Hearing none, I will call for a motion to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 143-318 11A136. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in closed session.